Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie, and we have William on the phone. And wow, what is it with the sports? What is it with the sports? They're all doing the Trump dance. I don't know if you've been know. I watch it, some of them, and I've been watching the field goals and the good catches, and even UFC that Trump showed up to. The one of the guys got in the ring, and yeah, it's wow.
UFC
Everybody's free.
Trojans?
Everybody's wearing their Trump hats. Everybody is wow. And they're not having the protesters or anybody attack them on this. So is the world coming together? Is the United States people coming together? We now have our sports teams free to get out there and do the Trump dance. Isn't that weird that he started a silly little dance and it's gone viral? Huh. All right. We got stuff on the Biden Harris administration. She's still part of this. And an update on what's going on. To me, folks, I want to just say that Zelensky has been talking to Trump. He's been talking to, um, the United States and NATO, and he
Here's
keeps
Starmer.
he's flip flopping. He's 1 minute saying, "Yeah, I want peace. I'm ready to, get this over with," and then he goes and gets together with the United States and wants to shoot missiles. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. Um, we got a front coming, a weird one off the West Coast, folks. It's fierce, and they say it's something. It's they've never seen anything as big and as like this. William, you're going to get hit first. And speaking of weather, I've got bad storms over the top of me. So hopefully, William. Uh,
Well, we just had 6 in a row typhoons roll through the Philippines. That's never happened either.
yeah.
So
So,
everybody's playing weather wars, I would guess.
yeah, I'm going to have to look at it and listen to Dutch Sense. And I think what it is when we see when we were seeing the chemtrails, folks, it started drying our weather up. Now that I'm not seeing none at all, hardly, and now our weather has to go back to normal. It's got to muddle its way through, and um, for the fronts and the pressures and everything to start going again normally. And I think we're going to have a colder winter. Susan, where were you for trivia? She's in there now, William.
She is.
Yeah,
Good. Because I need a beating.
yeah.
I'm ready. It's
All
great
right,
for me.
here we
Scientists
go.
I
have
just
discovered a major shift
everything
north in
weather.
the atmospheric rivers, which will impact the world's weather. This shift north means flooding and rains for northern latitudes and sea ice melt in the Arctic. Southern regions will receive less rain, resulting in more drought and water shortages. But what's the cause? The shift is due to cooler water in the equatorial Pacific, which changes global atmospheric circulation patterns and drives atmospheric rivers poleward. Most people think warming is what drives big changes in the climate, but here we see a cooling trend.
Well, the weather guys say that we're going towards the ice age. They said they were really surprised that the geo engineers, I think, what they're called. There's a guy that I watch, and he was saying that um, here they have been saying all along that um,
That we're have
we
going
were
through
we were warming up. Well, they said,
oh,
yeah, we were in a warming trend, but we are now going into a cold trend, and they say it's deep. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So
well, climate. The whole climate change thing was just about taxing America for the rest of the world, by the
yeah.
way.
Oh yeah, the climate change. Oh, that's what they did a lot of the taxes on. And
That's
this new administration, William, they're the ones that want to go through the all these programs and take out wasted spending. And climate change is big.
Well, they want for the United States to be carbon neutral, we would have to pay so much money to the smaller nations, to the United Nations, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is out of the industrialized nations on Earth, we're the cleanest. We're cleaner than Europe. We're cleaner than Asia. The only one that's as clean as us is Japan and South Korea. Everybody else are huge polluters. And it's somehow the United States causing global warming. Well, first of all, global warming doesn't exist. All right? We go through every 11,000 years a ice age. So we're supposed to cycle. The sun has an 11,000 year, if you will, like we have 11 year seasons, right? So it goes from a winter to a summer every 11,000 years, or both of those. You guys get the idea.
Yeah.
From summer to summer from the sun. So this whole climate thing is just a ruse to get money from the United States. So first they squeeze us by forcing us to be the big fist around the world, right? If anything goes wrong, who has to come in and fix it? Militarily.
Yep.
It's the United States.
Of
Then
course.
you've got England over the city of London, and over there in Switzerland, they want to be the money giants of the world, right? So that's who they are. Then if you look at the religious center of the world, that's the Vatican. Well, here's the thing. Being the big money maker banks in the city of England and whatnot, that's easy. That's cheap. Having a Vatican City, that's easy. That's cheap.
Yep.
That's securing just little places for you to benefit from. Try and keep all the crazies around the world from killing each other. See how that works out for you. The United States is paying for all that because these socialist countries can't step up to the plate. And why can't they step up to the plate? Because they're too busy playing socialism. United States, there would be no socialism around the world if it weren't for the United States. There would be no socialist democratic republics around the country without the United States.
Yeah.
Everybody on the planet would be an abject subject and required to do the whims of the king or queen of their country. Well, that's gone away under the United States. Now, we're a reluctant superpower. We wanted to stay out of World War II. We had to send in the Marines to tip the balance to end World War II at Bella Woods. So then our guys got the name Devil Dogs. What a sweet name for them by the Germans. But then World War II happened, and we had to help England, jolly old England, where a lot of our people came from, as well as protecting, Ireland and Scotland. They're going on in there, and also protecting Europe. That's where our history comes from, is Europe. So we were trying to help protect the Western world. We paid a heavy price for that. And keep in mind, we didn't just go out and attack Germany. We were neutral. We were just sending arms and stuff so that the Allies could protect themselves. So Russia and England could protect themselves. Most of the tanks going through Russia, most of the aircraft used by Russia were built, and trucks were built by the United States, by the way, or in factories built in Russia, built by the United States. I don't know if people realize that. So we had our Pacific fleet, half our Pacific fleet wiped out by the Japanese, who were an ally of Germany, right? So we declared war on Japan. The next day, Germany declared war on us. So we reciprocated.
And a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people don't even realize that half of our Air Force, Army Air Corps, went to Germany and the other half went towards Japan, because my dad thought he was going to go to Germany as a pilot, and they ended up sending him towards Japan. So,
well, that's right.
but it was called the Army Air Corps back then. It wasn't the Air Force.
We had a third-rate Air Force. We had a third-rate mechanized Army, and we had a third-rate Navy at the beginning of World War II. Meaning we were, you know, a third world nation with respect to our military. Then all this crazy stuff happened, and none of these other militaries could manufacture things fast enough.
Yeah.
Because they all decided to do demand manufacturing. They didn't. They offered the stick to their manufacturers rather than the carrot. So the people didn't have any real desire to innovate, do things better, whatnot. They did, for the most part, what they had to, right? The United States did a different thing. Roosevelt offered all these manufacturers the carrot. Look, we'll let you make money building these aircraft. And that's why we had war bonds. So we had people working to build all these aircraft, thousands and thousands of aircraft. At the same time, they were buying war bonds. It was the people of the United States that foot the bill for World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the war, all the navies of the world had been destroyed. And here we're sitting with nearly 100 aircraft carriers and God knows how many destroyers and all these Liberty ships. We became the de facto superpower. We're the ones that had to reluctantly, because we wanted to be isolationists before the war. We were isolationists right up till Pearl Harbor, till that day. We're a reluctant superpower. We're a benevolent superpower. And the rest of the world is angry about it. They feel like, you know, why can't they do that?
That's it.
And you shouldn't blame them, right?
No.
Well, it's because you won't get rid of your kings and queens. You won't get rid of your aristocracy. You can't tell them no. And you won't institute a republic.
Yeah.
And until you do it, until you can have some things that you help your people out with when they're down and out, right? So you don't have debtors' prisons and whatnot. But beyond that, that's the greatest social program you should have in your country.
Mm-hmm.
Transportation, that should be on you. Housing, that should be on you.
Uh-huh.
Property rights should be for the common people, not the aristocracy. Right? If England wanted to be a world power, they would tell the King of England he no longer owns property.
Yeah.
It's owned by whatever country. So Australia owns all of its property. Canada owns all of its property. England owns all of its property. Scotland, Ireland. They own their own property, and then they can sell it to the public, whatnot. But that's not what happens there. It's not like the United States that you just go get a permit. It doesn't really cost you anything. The deer next door, right? Or the elk, maybe you have to go up in the mountains for an elk. Those belong to America as a general, right? all of us. Well, in England, that all that natural part of the world in England, that belongs to the king.
Yeah. Okay, we ready to
And
move
that's not-
on, William? Or
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, boy, this is way far from what we were just talking about, but California, they do have bears up, up in the mountains, but Los Angeles had a bear problem, and they seen its fair share of bears breaking into cars, but the insurance companies started looking at people's camera systems, and so they said something just wasn't quite right, and so it was dubbed, the insurance companies all got together and they dubbed it Operation Bear Claw. Well, they said 4 Los Angeles residents were arrested Wednesday accused of defrauding 3 insurance companies out of 150,000 by claiming a bear had caused damage to their vehicles. Well, the video footage showed a bear moving inside a Rolls Royce, 2 Mercedes, and yeah, and the companies had to pay parts of the damages on that, plus anything that was missing. And of course, the bear did rob the cars, don't you know, William? Well, the detectives, when the detectives got a hold of it, they found out that there was 2 additional claims with 2 different other insurance companies for this. And well, I got to show you guys this bear costume. I hate to, sorry, William.
Okay. Well, I got a big head, but I can disappear.
See, there's a bear inside the car. How long
was it driving?
There's
was it just,
no. What it was is it was scrambling through their car, but this is a bear suit, folks. So
it's one of those extinct bears made out of polyester, a polyester bear.
Yeah. So the company that was viewing the Rolls Royce suspected it wasn't a bear inside, but someone in a costume. So they finally figured it out. And of course, these individuals were charged.
But only like Rolls Royce.
They went, well, they don't, there was a 3 or 4 of them, they say in the article. There was
Did
4
they have
that
any Bentleys or Mercedes?
It was
other nice cars.
Oh yeah, 2 Mercedes and I think it's 2 Rolls Royce, because there was 4 of them and it was their cars.
Oh my God.
And then they filed the claim and they got paid, highly for it, plus what came up missing. Part of what came up missing. So the bear not only scratched it up, tore the seats up, they say, ruined some of the interior, but then robbed them.
So here's what I want to know. So if they did something wrong with their auto insurance, they should lose it, right? But if you lose your auto insurance for defrauding the company, do you still keep your homeowner's insurance and your yachting boat insurance and whatnot?
I think so.
They say anything about that.
So
I'm just wondering.
All right. Now I want to kind of move on to this thing with Russia, and now President Biden has finally authorized Ukraine's military use of U.S. long-range missiles, and they will send them inside Russian territory. Was it Kursk?
Yeah, it was the Kursk area.
Kursk, okay. And so this would cause a major policy shift. And so And not only that, it's according to Russia.
Ellie,
Huh?
is all the targeting has to be done by U.S. personnel there.
Yes, that you're correct. But not only that, but they say that they have to act soon as possible while they can. The U.S. plant is able to send them munitions and other military items before the end of this administration. And to me, this, according to Germany, because Germany is even claimed that they have to fortify their borders now and be ready for war against Russia, because this is going to push.
Poland says the same thing. They're digging brand new missile silos, right? Everybody's doing it, and then they're saying, "Oh my goodness! However, did this new nuclear war start?" And the Europeans want it, and they all run down there to APAC and to the G20, and they just talk Biden into it. It's not like it's difficult. A 6-year-old could probably talk him into it. And who has to suffer? We have to suffer. It's wrong.
Yeah.
There's no way those attackums will change anything.
And what it does is it
Ukraine winning.
According to a representative of the Kremlin, Dmitry Peskov, he said this is a reckless, dangerous decision aimed at the increase of war level, bringing the United States into this.
This is what happens through incrementalism in warfare. It's a complete and always a complete disaster. And
it does well. What Germany and this
can't figure that out.
What Germany and Peskov is saying, are saying is this inserts the United States, that they are now a part of Ukraine in the war against Russia. And see, that's what made Germany so nervous. Is okay, if this is war, now we're on the next border, so now we have to get ready for war with Russia, and they really don't want to really take the steps to jump in on this.
Yeah, but the King of England does.
Yeah, that's
it's not
true.
Like he's part of Europe in his mind, and France does, and they're all good for this, right? I don't think so. I don't. And both of those are nuclear nations. We shouldn't be. When we had to protect Europe from the Soviet Union, that was one thing. And then we developed NATO for the defense of Europe. That's one thing. But this has become something beyond defense. This has become offense.
Yeah.
The war that's happening between Russia and Ukraine is between Russia and Ukraine. If any of the rest of us decide to go in on that territory and assume our military identity within that country, that's it. That's world war.
Yeah. Well, what's Ukraine? Their explanation for this is when more than 10,000 North Korean troops landed right there to fight along the Russian soldier in the Kursk region. They said this they have to defend themselves, and this is the area that they want to hit, is where these soldiers are.
And the North Koreans coming in is incrementalism on the Russian side, right? They're both playing the same game. And this can only end badly. This will literally suck every human being on the planet into paying for this, either in blood or treasure, if somebody doesn't say stop right now.
Right.
Because, look, I know the American people want to be loved around the world, but it doesn't work. Because 1 out of every 10 people that's born is a psychopath, and they tend to rise to the top. So we have to manage them through fear.
And
We
you know,
don't
that's
want
what they're
to do it.
saying. They're
We
they're
didn't
doing
desire
this
to
through
do it.
fear. And even they're even talking about striking Crimea. You know, and then you say, why? Why? That makes no sense. If they're going to go after Kursk and they're going to go after the North Koreans, why would they maybe, and just throw in they might strike Crimea? The only reason why they're striking Crimea is years ago when the Russian Ukrainians fled to Crimea.
I'll tell you why they're doing it. On all fronts. They're vindictive.
Yeah.
They're losing and they're vindictive. They're backed into a corner. But the thing is all those weapons aren't going to make a hill of beans difference in the end. So we shouldn't allow them to use those other than in the Donbass and Luhansk area where they're actually fighting to protect the Ukrainian troops that are being pushed back by Russia on the front line. That's the only use for them.
Yeah, and you know, the whole thing
are
is...
they going to protect they're not going to protect their own troops. They're going to be vindictive. That's what aristocracies do. They don't protect their troops. They protect their interests.
Right. And as of Saturday, Zelensky says he's sure the Russian-Ukraine war will end faster when Trump gets in office. And he spoke to him, and he was very glad that Trump could possibly bring an end to this war. So what's this? That's why I was saying at the beginning of the show, he's flip-flopping.
Well, he's talking out, you know, in the military, we say, talking out both sides of his rear end.
Yeah.
Right?
So, well, you know what I think it is okay, he's got Biden administration, and of course, Biden administration has got others that want to shoot these missiles. And he's going to go, okay, I'll do it. But, you know, when Trump gets in office, okay, now I got to switch tactics because I got to be able to keep getting foreign money from the United States. So I'll just switch to what Trump wants. And that's exactly why we need to just pull out and not give Ukraine anything. I agree with Trump.
Can I explain some of this?
Sure. Your turn.
There was a plan put out by a guy by the name of Zbigniew Brzezinski back during the Johnson administration about how Europe could rise and become powerful, and the United States could aid, you know, in its growth, whatnot. Well, it's been changed in a whole bunch of different abominations, right? And now it's destroy the United States through its benevolence so that Europe can rise. If the United States as a superpower and having nuclear weapons does not exist, the European countries would kill each other just like they always have, because they're all related. And if somebody's brother or somebody's niece marries one of the other countries, they have to fight to see who's going to be in charge.
Yeah.
It's never ending. We shouldn't benevolently be protecting these folks if they don't want to be protected. If they don't want to be a part of our economic system. If they want kings back that are totally in power, King Charles can dissolve Parliament at will. He has the right to dissolve Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
Parliament only exists through the will of the King of England. The English are subjects. right now they're trying to tax farmers between the generations, so a farmer can't hand his son the farmland, whatnot. So they're even trying to kill their own farming. They don't want to produce their own energy. They don't want to produce their own food, and now they don't want to produce their own manufacturing. They just want the rest of us to send money to them.
Yes.
Well, why should the United States have to fund Western Europe? They're not destroyed from a world war. They're fully functional. We should allow them to go their own way.
Yeah.
So we can protect our interests in the East now.
Yeah. And Zelensky, he said he acknowledges a difficult situation on the battlefield in which Russia has been pressing its advantage and manpower with weaponry and North Koreans recently. And he ended the statement. This was, he went live with CNN. He said, we must do everything to ensure the war ends by next year or the end of this year through diplomatic means. And he said this 2 days ago.
Can I reinterpret that to what he's really saying?
Send me more money.
So we need the war to continue with Russia so the United States will engage Russia, the Russian Empire will fall, and the King of England and France and Germany will then have a free reign of Europe and Asia. That's what he's saying. Well, listen, Charlie and Macron and your sympathizers out there, they have nuclear weapons. We can't play that game and survive as a planet. Get over it. We know it's been 80 years. You've been talking and, blowing smoke up your own tail feathers, but it still doesn't change anything. They have the missiles. We have the missiles. It would be the end of the planet. There is no tactical nukes.
Yeah.
If one uses them, they have to all use them or lose them. It's not survivable.
Yeah.
It's not survivable for the United States. It's not survivable for Europe. Hey, but the King and Macron, they have their bunker, right?
Yeah. Okay. We do our budgets in usually September. That's when usually Congress and Senate want to shut down, and they say everybody's running out of money and everybody's not going to get checks. Well, in the midst of this, folks, a lot of people don't realize, but the Inspector General for Tax Administration, they audit across the board all of the federal employees' taxes. And what they have found is, and this was done by Joni Ernst she's a senator in Iowa. She found that 149,000 federal employees owe $1 billion in unpaid taxes. Well, what they found out is tens of thousands of repeat tax cheat, or they didn't file on their taxes at all. And they say a lot of it is pointing down to Democrats' sub-offices. Now, she didn't want to accuse the senators or congressmen, but a lot of their offices and the other federal programs we have put in place, these are the ones that are doing it. And they said even some IRS agents are doing that.
So these people get used to being treated exceptionally when they're in the Capitol. Then they leave their end of political tenure and they burrow into what is the U.S. government's functioning administrations, right, into the agencies. And they try to continue to get their ideas moved forward in the government subversively if they can't do it just outright. And while they're doing that, they're forgetting some things. They're too focused on something they shouldn't be focused on.
Yeah. Well, it's
And
it, you know
They
it's
shouldn't be allowed to. Political appointees shouldn't be allowed to have lifetime government employment.
yeah, and it it almost seems like all of this stuff is now coming out, but I've heard people say, "Wow, all this stuff that's going on in our government that's bad is all starting to come out because of Trump." No, it's not. It's just I think people are brave enough to come out and do it. Like this guy, J. Michael Waller. He's a senior analyst for strategy for security policy, and what he found out, and William, me and you talked about this right before the show, is the DOJ. Well, the Biden administration are getting all the documents they can and putting them all together. Well, they should be filed uh, as national security. Well, what's happening is they are deleting them. And
So what they're deleting isn't theirs. What they're deleting belongs to the American people.
yeah,
Not all, they're engaged in theft of our own political history.
yeah,
They
they
don't
sure
have a
are.
right to do that as federal employees.
And see what it is it's what they're concerned about is all of the employees have um, top president, the
Top
president,
security
vice
clearance.
president, all their cabinet, and the senators and congressmen. They all have government phones, and what they're doing, they're deleting is their emails, their text messages, uh, their social media messages, kind of like what Hillary did. You know, when she erased all
And
her
you can
emails.
do that if it's your personal phone. But those aren't
That's
personal
right.
phones. Those are paid for by the government.
Yeah. Well, see, back when Hillary did it, when you had to steal the actual documents, remember that guy put it down his pants and tried to sneak it out. He didn't even really get punished for it. Neither did Hillary. When they did this, they stole documents. Plus, she was deleting everything that she could possibly delete.
Well, Democrats don't get punished for that. Only Republicans, like down in Mar-a-Lago, when they went in and took all the documents from President Trump that was trying to build his library, just like every other president on earth has done. Yeah. Clinton has a library in Arkansas. Why can't Trump have a library in Florida? He was a president.
Well, one of the things they're trying to get Trump on right now is when he was making money on his hotels during his presidential. And they're saying it's under I think the 14th Amendment. I could be wrong there.
That was all.
Okay, what it was is he turned all of his businesses over to his son. And they're saying, oh, you can't do that. And this is what gets me, William, is they said you cannot do business with or accept gifts or any like that from any other world leaders. Well, what about the Biden administration in business with China making military equipment?
It's all two-sided. Look, a president doesn't have to get rid of his business and his net worth when he comes into the presidency. Trump didn't even take a salary from the government. He donated.
Now, you mentioned something earlier when we were talking about these deleted things is they should be able to retrieve that information. And didn't you say they had, well, I can't remember what it's called, but.
So we have 3 major data centers in the United States that by all reasons shouldn't really be there, but they are. Okay, so we're not going to discuss whether it's a privacy issue. But we have them, so every phone call, everything you text turns up on a hard drive in one of these data centers. information can be retrieved. Now, I don't know who's over the data centers, but that information can absolutely be retrieved and put back in, the public archive, because that's what these are, is public archives.
Mm-hmm. They belong,
So
yeah.
we have a freedom of information
Well,
request.
see, not only do they need it for that, but when they store all that, there's stuff that goes back hundreds of years in the
You start to see
archives.
that stuff, and pretty soon, the Pentagon starts losing trillions of dollars because nobody knows what's where.
That's it. That's it. And see, a lot of this, like I was just going to say, it's not only for national security, but it's there as a legacy of history. There's a lot of stuff in there that's just a legacy of history. I'm a history buff, so.
As soon as the administration's over, as soon as the treaties have been superseded because of time, 50 years down the road, the technology and all this stuff, so nobody's lives are in danger. That belongs to the people as American history.
Yeah.
And if historians can't go into those archives and look at the totality of what was going on within the United States, they'll make incorrect, they'll come up with incorrect ideas that can push the United States in directions that we shouldn't be going, because we didn't learn lessons from, the previous administrations. So it becomes like Groundhog Day. We keep doing the same silly thing over and over again.
Yeah. Next thing I kind of want to get into is some info. I know it's everybody thinks Afghanistan news is old news, but some info has come out of Afghanistan that Bin Laden's son wasn't actually killed, William. And I think I talked to you earlier about this.
So Bin Laden had a raft of wives. He's got kids everywhere, just so y'all know.
Yeah. I tried to grab this info, and I'm trying to see if
he's got kids in Qatar. He's got kids in Turkey. He's got kids.
Right.
In
Okay.
Saudi
Well, the whole thing is he's got 3 or 4 wives, and now right before folks 9/11 happened, there was this meeting that Bin Laden. I'm sorry, not Obama. Bin Laden went over and talked to Afghanistan about. But then that happened, and then we see him. We killed him, and now his son is over there, and he has married one of the top ranking people. And oh God, I wish I could find it real quick.
in Afghanistan, the Taliban leaders, the daughter of the Taliban leader.
Right. Yeah. There's like 2 or 3 of them, and he got married to each one of their daughters. Well, what it is they're assigned to the U.S. Embassy for policies, and they're able to do passports because they're part of the UN. And one of the head guys, the head Taliban guys that we were looking to kill and is considered a terrorist, has been in our country quite a few times, folks, working with the Biden administration to, I'm really muddling this up a little bit, but
well, they come to our government and they lobby our government for and in behalf of their country. All countries do it. That's why you have to register as a foreign lobbyist when you come into the United States. As long as they're government payroll, right, and they register and they have diplomatic immunity, they're diplomats. They're not terrorists anymore.
He married the daughter of Mullah Omar, the former commander of the Taliban, um, and then the daughter of Ayman Zawahiri.
Zarahari, yeah.
Yeah,
The one that's in prison right now down in Guantanamo. Yeah, him. I don't know if you've seen that guy.
but they're also known as an independent network, is what they're saying. And when so their global aspiration is to infiltrate the United States. And so now that they're able to, this head Taliban guy working with the UN and the embassy, and also being an ambassador, like I said, he can print documents and papers. Well, what he's done is he's put um, uh, a main office in 5 different places in Mexico. So anybody that is from Afghanistan or the Middle East, they go there, they get passports and documents to be able to enter the United States. Folks, these aren't fake. These aren't fake documents. These aren't. These are real. These are real passports. And so they're able to get, and what they say is thousands of terrorists into our country with passports and documents and verify that they could be here.
Ellie?
Yeah.
I want people to understand something. Afghanistan has a very long, very porous border with Iran. Who do you think is pushing the buttons? Afghan poor, Iran rich in comparison. Think about that.
That's it. And you know, a lot of this info is coming out of Afghanistan, but it's coming from a guy named Scott Mann. I want to put this out there. He was on the Sean Ryan show about a month ago, and it's some of the stuff I try to get info from, and then check it out and check out their stuff. And this claims to be true of what he's saying. And if you guys really want to see if what I'm saying is accurate, go check it out. It's called The Real Cost of American Failures on Sean Ryan show.
We left Afghanistan, and in the process of us withdrawing, not invading, but withdrawing, they killed 13 of our service members.
Yeah. Oh, and they plan on doing more. Now, the other warning that the Taliban leaders and Al Qaeda is whispering is they're going to get as many as they can through our border right now. But when the border closes, they're going to have to react. That's all they're saying. And is it so
to expel any diplomat they choose, right?
Well,
but they can expel them.
And the way this guy explains this, William, is they know for a fact they got launchers in our country. They don't know of missiles, but they say, it's not, they're just not going to start a full-blown war. What they're going to do is they're going to start hitting neighborhoods. They're going to, blow something up. They're going to maybe do another plane. They say it's going to be way worse than 9/11. So I don't think it's going to be planes. I think they're going to hit us up all over the country with small bombs.
It's going to be fear operations. It's what the Taliban does.
Bingo. Yes. If
you look and see how the Taliban controls its satellite cities, that's what they want to do. And if you like having somebody come in and, whack a leg off, chop your fingers off, behead you, have those sorts of people in control, we have to get rid of these folks. We don't have to hurt them. We just have to put them back where they belong, right?
Yeah.
But if you understood a lot of the stuff Ellie and I have gone through, your hair would stand on end.
That's why I have nightmares. Some of my nightmares don't make no sense, but sometimes they do. And so when we're looking at Israel, if the United States is now going to supply Ukraine with these missiles, and William, I kind of waited for this for last because I wanted your opinion on it, and I didn't mention it to you because I like hitting you impromptu because you're real good at that. Will the United States soften up and give the Palestinians the same?
So over the weekend,
I think they'll give them a lot of foreign aid, and they're gonna let them stock up.
Well, surprisingly, over the weekend, there were some sanctions applied to some settlers that are forcing people out of their homes in Judea and Samaria. They call this the West Bank, by the way. It's West Bank of the Jordan River. And because the Muslim folks that live there don't want to lose their homes. That's not giving, Israel a complete green light. And I hope that, it's my hope that Gaza is given back to Gaza, but requires some training for the people so that this thing doesn't happen again. Same thing we should require with Southern Jordan as part of the peace that they have to go through, a training program, end up in a class, and showed why you shouldn't want to do this if you want to have a successful country.
Yeah. Because
and they can do that, right? This is just, it's reverse propaganda is all it is.
Yeah. And the whole thing, William, is what we're seeing, and I'm getting tired, it's almost like the politician commercials, is, oh, the Democrats are having a meltdown. Oh, the Democrats are busy over here, and they're so worried about who his picks are. And I think it's a smokescreen, because behind the scenes they went and decided to do these missiles. They're not just sitting idle, folks. They're plotting, they're planning what they got to do in the next few months to end this administration in a bang.
So after the election, the Democrats lost their balance, if you will. They've got their sea legs underneath them now. And keep in mind that it wasn't the Republicans that won, right? It's the very, very reluctant Republicans that won. They just tolerate us, right? And the globalists and the rhinos in the Republican Party are fit to be tied, like Mr. McConnell, Mr. Romney, folks like that. And they want to force the next administration to do their will and not the will that Trump had done his campaign on. People voted for Trump because he said he was going to do something.
He was going to fix the economy. Democrats
promises made. He wants to have promises kept.
And
that's foreign to politicians, but it can actually happen. It happened, in the Teddy Roosevelt administration.
Yeah. And the whole thing is, you were mentioning the, I don't know, the deep state, the elites, I call it the Biden administration's advisors, even Obama's. They go way back. And they're, like you said, they're fit to be tied. And they have a little over a month to try to gain some type of control of to get their feet back in there so they can start to build their whole agenda again, folks. And this is what they're saying.
The Democrats have no power except for the voice at this point.
Right.
Going up to January 20th.
Right.
The people we need to be afraid of now are the people that are within our own party.
That's, yeah, and yes, and we do. And we need to make sure that they follow through. You know, it's like we seen the thing with the talked earlier about the DOJ deleting. You know, the only one I think that can really is going to jump in and do something is Tom Fenton with Judicial Watch, because he's been picking up their slack.
They think they can delete it because they're the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice is not going to prosecute itself.
Right.
Got news.
That's why, you know, they have to put, as far as the top DOJ and even the AG, Getz is really good about going after these guys. He's looked so much into it that if they don't get him in, you know, there is still plenty out there that Trump can put in, but they need someone real strong that's going to go after the deep state. And the Democrats know they're the deep state. They know. And it's not like they're sitting around boo-hooing, folks, like the media's wanting you to believe. Oh, we're boo-hooing. Oh, we lost. Oh, you know, oh my God, what are we going to do? They're not doing that.
They're in protection mode now.
Yes. And they're moving forward. And the reason why we know they're moving forward is these missiles in Ukraine, because it does mean we're going to be in the middle of this war if those missiles are fired.
If Russia decides we're going to be in the middle of that war, if Russia decides to launch.
Well, you wouldn't,
personally,
you wouldn't have liked what I said when I heard about this. I said, you know what, they ought to just do about 300-400 exploding drones and get back. But you know, getting even isn't the right choice. Getting even isn't the right choice, because that's what they're doing right now. It's a tit for tat war.
Yes, it's going through war by little baby steps, if you will.
So anyway, William, I think I'm going to call this a close, and I know we started a little early, but that happens. I did have a good birthday.
People talk about what was going on with Secretary Austin in the Philippines.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
going on?
Go ahead.
With missiles and whatnot in Poland, the APAC, the G20. And why all this is happening right now, rather than in the spring when the new administration can be there. So we'll talk about all that then.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be back Wednesday. I do have my big doctor's appointment about my health on Thursday, so everybody send prayers. So with that, William, I thank you. You're a great host.
I'm sorry I'm being a little bit of grumpy, but I'm really tired of seeing all this
Grumpy.
unnecessary.
You get grumpy, and I go ooh ooh ooh, and I do the Trump dance.
It's like an unnecessary corrosion of the public's utilities, if you will. Government is just a big utility for the people.
Yeah. And it should be about the people, by the people, for the people.
By and for the people. We own the government. The government does not own us. And if people are damaging the government, corroding the government, they're doing it to all of us.
Yep.
Collectively.
Yes. And maybe we can start 2025 to be the new direction of the country, and maybe a new direction for other countries. But for us, we're looking for the economy, and we're looking for things to be like it was 4 years ago. All right, folks, I thank you for watching, and subscribe and share and hit that like button and hit the bell. And follow us on Facebook, Investigators. Thank you much, William.
You're welcome.
All right. All right.